All right, all right, all right. We are up and running and rocking and rolling. Looks like all my technology is where it needs to be. Hello, Cynthia. Hello, Johnny. Oh, thank you, Cynthia. Yeah, I thought it was a great live too. Definitely took a direction that I didn't expect, but I love that. I love when that happens. I love when the live far exceeds my imagination and expectation for where the discussion could go. Not that I spend too much time thinking about it. I just think, all right, maybe I'll talk about this, maybe I'll talk about that, whatever. And then, the panel will take that and run with it. And it's fantastic. Let's see, how are we looking as far as this sign? I think I need to lower this a little bit. Let's see. There we go. Would that work? Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So, yeah, this is one of the topics that's on the screen right now is Newsom, and we're definitely going to get to that. But there's another thing I want to talk about before we get to that. Eloise, hello, welcome. Pardon me. So, as people trickle in, we'll get the party started. Said, I love Jessica S. Oh, Jessica, I think you mean. Yeah, I love Jessica. Yeah, she's fantastic. She is knowledgeable, she relies on facts, and she's intelligent. That's the kind of people that I gravitate toward. Like I don't need to have people be any specific kind of way to hang out with me, but I noticed that my group of friends, the people that have found each other, we tend to be very loving, caring people who I dare say are very intelligent and, can talk about anything on any level. Hello, Brooklyn. So yeah, Cynthia says, yeah, sore fingers, tap on lots of lives. Yeah. Yeah, I know the thing. That's why I have begun tapping rather with all three fingers because I have to start it with one finger to see the numbers start going up, and then I switch to three, and it just zooms right up. Gets a lot of taps all at once when you do it like that, so that works out well. So the folks that are here, Diana, way up, Terry, keep tapping that screen. If you haven't done so already, please do the daily heart me. That more than anything else lets the platform know that people are paying attention. Apparently, that's like the most important thing to the algorithm is the daily heart me. There you go, Brooklyn. That's the spirit. I have one hand petting my cat, the other hand holding the phone, and my thumb tapping. That's exactly it. That is our lifestyle now, right? Always holding a phone, tapping. So we got over 1,000 likes, so that's good. That puts us on the board. That's the entry fee to being noticed. So, yeah. Yeah, I was saying the other night how it's interesting to me how social media has just become such a staple of my daily life. Like, this is just something that I do now every day in one way, shape, or form. Normally, as I schedule myself, I'm going to at least do my live at 10 p.m. Monday through Saturday. However, I wind up going on other people's lives. I wind up consuming a lot of other people's content. I'm looking on other platforms for, you know, their takes on current events and all that kind of stuff. So, I spend my day just sort of hovering around social media and its many variations. But this is definitely the platform I spend the most time on. And that's a good thing. Hey Jude, how you doing? And Brenda, hello. So yeah, there's wild stuff going on as always. Lots to talk about. I'm excellent, hey Jude. I just finished eating about 10 minutes ago, which is good because I need to fuel up for these lives. They take a lot out of me. And, but they also give me a lot too. So that's, it's a fair trade. I put in a lot of energy into these things, but I get out twice as much as what I put in. So it's a good thing. Mel, hello. People are popping in and out as usual. Keep the taps coming. And as always, a reminder to share out the live. The easiest and fastest way to do it is to put your finger gently on the middle of the screen and have your friends list pop up. And next to every one of their names, or even if you have groups set up for chat, there's going to be the word send. And you can just scroll down, send 40 or 50 of them at a clip. Go back and do it again if you want to. But, I would say invite as many people in as possible. More is better. More gives us more opportunity to hear from different people and to hear different perspectives. So I don't really care about the size of the room for the sake of the size of the room. I really care about it because, it's more people to hear from. So that's good stuff, in my opinion. Brenda, thank you for sharing at the live. Appreciate that. Wolfgang. Amadeus, Amadeus. Bam, bam, ba-dam. And, of course, Eddie Van Halen started his life as a piano player. That's what he took lessons in first. And he fell in love with Mozart's music, as do most of us when we hear it. And as a result, he named his one and only son, one and only child, Wolfgang, who they affectionately call Wolfie. I was a big fan of Eddie Van Halen's work. When I taught myself guitar, and I wasn't a talented or good guitar player, and I didn't teach myself by ear. I bought the Mel Bay books, which are famous for teaching beginners music and using what's called tablature notation so that you don't have to read music. You can just start learning how to play songs. And my problem is that I had no attention span. I'd learn the first 10 or 20 seconds of a song, and then I'd want to move on to the next song. But there were a few songs that I learned all the way through. Panama, I learned all the way through. I could play the solo kind of well, but not really well. But I was happy that I had learned a song from start to finish because it was one of the few. Cynthia, your husband plays electric and acoustic. Excellent. Yeah, me too. Actually, to my left, there is one electric guitar and one acoustic guitar. They mostly gather dust. I like to joke that I play just well enough to know how badly I play. I wonder if I can make this bigger. I think I should. Let me try. Nah, that looks good. So I don't need to mess with that. Sweet C, how you doing? Royal Rome, hello. So, um, I'm going to get to Newsom last. I am the voice of reason. Oh, that's an enormous compliment. Thank you very much. So, Newsom, of course, refers to Gavin Newsom, if I could just speak correctly. And so he's the main topic, although a more important topic is what I'm going to start with. Um, this is sort of flown under the radar because, so much insanity is going on. We're in the middle of a hostile takeover by a fascist dictator. And so some of the other news tends to get overlooked. But Dominion won another lawsuit, this time against Newsmax. First, Fox had to pay $785 million, and now Newsmax has had to pay $67 million. Now, these lawsuits are not over because Smartmatic is also suing Fox and probably also suing Newsmax. But I know they're suing Fox for sure. In any case, what does this mean? What is the significance of Newsmax having to cough up $67 million? Well, it's really the same takeaway as the takeaway from Fox. What it confirmed is that Fox is not a news organization. They are a propaganda arm that is willing to lie to their audience, lie to the public, betray the sacred trust, betray the fact that journalism is referred to as the fourth estate in America. And as I recall, it is the only industry cited in the Constitution because it's so important. Hello, Gil. Hello, Raymond. Hello, Darl. I think that's what that says. Darl 60. Journalism used to be a vital industry for America. That's right, Swims, State TV. Because the government is a juggernaut, and there are lots of moving parts, lots of power. They have massive influence over our lives. They make the laws that govern us, and they protect us, and they provide for the infrastructure. Of course, this is all on paper. This is what they're intended to do, but these days they're not doing that. But the reason why the Constitution cited journalism is because we needed someone to watch the watchers, right? That's that old Latin question, who watches the watchers? And the watchers were watched by the media. They were watched by journalists. It was Woodward and Bernstein, two journalists that let us know about the illegal activity of Nixon's administration. And back then, even though that seems like nothing compared to what's going on now, in the 70s, when this news broke, it was alarming. It bothered people. The average American was shocked that a president would be engaging in this kind of behavior. And without journalism, we wouldn't have known about it. Without journalism, we wouldn't have known the facts and the horrors of Vietnam. And it was journalism that eventually created the tipping point for America to want that conflict to end, because news stations started showing American soldiers coming back in body bags and coffins draped with flags, and they had not seen that on television before. And on top of that, the horrifying images of the devastation in Vietnam, that's what shaped America's consciousness about that. So journalism, when it is operating in a healthy, honest way, is vital to a democracy or a democratic republic, whatever you want to call it. There's no conflict between those terms, right? And we the people need to know that if the word news is somewhere in your title, that you are honest and you are giving us not narratives, not opinions, unless you designate them as an editorial, which, the Sunday paper used to do, right? Editorial section. That is the one place that was separated from every other place in the newspaper because they were announcing this is not the news, this is opinion. So if you're there to bring us the news, then get rid of all the narrative, get rid of all the story, just give us the facts that we need so that we can make the right decision when we walk into a voting booth. That's what that's about. So we know what our legislators, our lawmakers, our representatives are doing under, the auspices of taking care of us. We need to keep people honest. We need to know what these people are doing with full transparency. And of course, at the highest levels, we're never going to fully know. But in anything under the office of president, we deserve to know. I mean, I think we deserve to know it all, but realistically, there are government secrets, right? But short of that level of government, everything under that needs to be fully transparent. And even though we accept that we're not going to know everything that goes on under an administration, we need to know as much as possible. It's the only way to run things honestly. And this lawsuit, and again, coupled with the loss at Fox, that's basically society saying, you are not allowed to call yourself news and lie to us. And that's a good thing. It's a vital thing. So, Sweet Devil, thank you very much for the Heart Me. Anybody else that has not done the daily Heart Me, please do. It's one of those algorithm things that's very important. One a day, it costs you a TikTok coin and you get points for it. That's the cool thing. You move up through the ranks of somebody's fan page. I don't know what that really means, but it's fun to do. I think on Danny's, I'm on like level 15 or 16, something like that. That's always fun. So, what does everybody think of that first idea? Am I onto something with my thoughts regarding journalism? Is this as significant as I think it is? And you can either put it in the chat or you can come up. Let's see. Brian72 says, I have watched over and over parrot the same lies just to be debunked. Who have you watched? You didn't specify. I mean, you're saying all the papers and media parrot the same talking points. I would say that's not exactly right. I would say most. Because most media outlets right now are owned by a company called Sinclair. They represent something like 75 to 80% of the content that you see in mainstream media. And, unfortunately, they don't mind lying. They don't mind being propaganda arms. Ladybug bug flower bush. That's a mouthful. Do I support Gavin? I suppose sort of. Brian says they are owned by BlackRock. I'm guessing you mean Sinclair? Yeah. And BlackRock is like part of the shadow government. Black, uh, what is it? BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard are basically, yeah, Brian, you just mentioned Vanguard. Yeah, they're basically the shadow government. Um, there's a lot of uh, huge companies, huge banks. Like who was Steve Bannon with? Oh man, the name just flew out of my head. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba, 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 ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. What's the bank Bannon was with? Anybody remember? They're one of the big players. Like they don't have any like individuals as customers. Um it's all just like huge businesses and countries and states. It's not JP Morgan, no. You're not Aunt Gladys says we do not need to talk about president candidate now. Um who's talking about a presidential candidate? I have not said one word about a presidential candidate. So you seem to be preemptive for no reason, typing in capitals for no reason. Dangerfield, you're asking why isn't there a penalty for lying and misinforming? Literally, you must have just come on because what we've been talking about is the penalties that Fox has suffered for misinforming and for uh, Newsmax, who just coughed up 67 million. Hey, Danny's here. No DRL Diesel, thank you. Oh, wow, the live goal has been knocked at you. People are phenomenal. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Danny, thank you for the heart me. Again, anybody here who has not done the heart me, please do that. That's an important aspect. There's 14 folks in here, so let's get those heart me's done. And then we can move on. Danny is here, the tapper in chief, my big brother from another mother. And we're gonna talk about all of this stuff. But yeah, I think it's critical that society sends a message, and in this case, it's through the court system. And we send a message to these so-called news outlets that we are not going to tolerate being lied to, because that's what they do most of the time. When you look at Newsmax, OAN, Breitbart, all these types of places that have set themselves up as journalists when they're not at all journalists, you know, like if you want to have an opinion site, call it an opinion site. Don't dress it up as if you're delivering the news. If you're Fox and you want to be a shill for a corrupt president, then just say, yeah, we're here to support the corrupt guy. Hey, traffic man, how you doing? So yeah, like it's about time. It's about time that these people are suffering the consequences of doing the crazy shit that they're doing. I guess I should reset my live goal. Do 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 do. Let's see. We just had chili peppers. Let's do roses. Now, you know what? Let's do the pink hearts. Pink heart puff. Let's do that. Let's do 100. All right, we got 100 pink puffs hearts up there. Easy for me to say. And we're over 3,500 likes, which is a real slow pace, but hopefully folks will start picking it up. We've got 17 people in here. We could easily get to 10,000 very quickly. So let's get that going. But for starters, I'm going to bring up Danny so we can get the conversation going. Let's see, we've had a few comments up here. Hey, Danny, how you doing?
All right, how are you doing?
Excellent.
Just
Brian,
left Jordan's loading,
Brian
so
says,
sorry.
no worries. Brian says Obama made it legal to tell your opinion, not the truth in media. Brian, you're obviously in a room with not enough oxygen because you have no idea what you're talking about. Obama had nothing to do with that. That was actually Reagan and Clinton that were responsible for those things. Reagan got rid of the fairness doctrine, and he also deregulated communication, and Clinton further deregulated communication. So, like, your MAGA hat obsession with Obama is really pathetic. Joe Rogan could have sued CNN. Yeah, so what? Right now, Joe Rogan is constantly under fire for being the simp for Donnie Dump. Hey, WKRP, I didn't expect you tonight. What's up, brother? Good to see you. So anyway, Danny, we started off talking about the fact that Newsmax just had to pay a $67 million fine for lying about the Dominion voting machines. So now they have joined Fox, that got dinged for 787 million, I think, for the same thing. And I'm saying that it's good that finally there are consequences for the media lying. What do you think about it?
It's about time. They've been lying for decades, and it really started even before Fox and Newsmax. It started really around when CNN 10 Turner times, and it got when those guys went over from Ted Turner CNN to Fox when they opened up. Then all of a sudden, Fox was having this, who then Newsmax and OEN started up as obviously, and the liars just kept moving from one franchise to another.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm going to invite Brian up because he's just a propaganda parrot and just not saying anything that makes sense. He says MSNBC is changing their name so they don't get sued. Changing your name won't prevent you from being sued.
nope.
That's goofy. Okay, Brian, what is your story, man? You're just chirping all this propaganda parrot nonsense. What is going on here?
Propaganda? You call it propaganda? It's the
Yeah,
truth.
all
What are
right,
they
sure.
changing their name to? What are they
What
changing
does
their
it
name to?
what does it matter?
It matters because they're changing their name. There's new ownership coming in, so they don't have a whole bunch of lawsuits coming down the pipeline.
It doesn't matter if you change your name. That doesn't protect you from
Yes,
lawsuits.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
Where'd you get your law degree? The same place that you got your poli sci degree?
University of Washington.
Yeah, so you're a lawyer.
Yep.
Uh-huh. What's your area of law?
I don't really have one.
Yeah, I know. So now you're going to go and I'm going to ban you forever. Guy's an idiot. Can you imagine coming up and saying that you have a law degree when you don't? God, what morons.
Literally.
WKRP, I don't know. I know it's your son's birthday tonight, so I don't know if you're free, but if you want to come up, of course, please do. So yeah, I mean, I just think that and I know like we're not functioning as a democracy really. We there's been little of that in America's history, but at least there was a time where there was an attempt to keep the framework of the propaganda. There were attempts by the leadership to try to be transparent, to try to uh, follow the rules that were set out, to make sure that like I said, when Nixon got pinched, it was a huge scandal. I mean, think about it. What all Nixon did was breaking and entering, right? And then his secondary crime was lying about breaking and entering, right? So committing a crime and then trying to cover up the crime. But breaking and entering is no big deal compared to what's going on right now.
Well, there was obstruction of justice on top of that too. That he got charged with
Mm-hmm.
because he had tapes that were missing, and he would refuse to give the tapes. But
Right.
don't you think the fairness doctrine, when that was eliminated by Reagan, that opened the door to a lot of this?
Absolutely. That was a huge blunder.
Yep.
Um, and I'm going to read the actual definition of it because I know it kind of gets lost in the sauce. But let's see. Okay. So the Fairness Doctrine was a United States communications policy enforced by the Federal Communications Commission between 1949 and 1987. It mandated that radio and television broadcasters dedicate airtime to discussing controversial public issues and present them fairly with contrasting viewpoints. The doctrine's purpose was to ensure broadcasters using public airwaves served the public interest by offering diverse perspectives. So yes, 100%, when Reagan got rid of that, that opened the door to Rupert Murdoch and his quest, because Rupert Murdoch started Fox so that what happened to Nixon never happened to another Republican president again. That was his stated goal. This is not conspiracy. This is not my imagination. This is what the man said. And he did exactly that. And once Reagan got rid of the Fairness Doctrine, it enabled this kind of one-sided, propagandized nonsense that passes as news.
Which is now state-run media because that's what they're doing. Trump is trying to make it just like they have in Russia, where you can only say one thing and one thing only, and you can't bash him.
Exactly. And that's such an indication of the dictatorship that we're in. This is people need to learn from history. You know, I just I'm gonna post something when I'm done because I remember I spoke about slavery 2 years ago, and while I was talking about it, I also talked about the fact that the America was turning into an authoritarian country. So this was while Biden was in office, but Dump was doing what he was doing every day, squawking and bullshitting and telling his dumb stories. And I was sounding the alarm 2 years ago, saying authoritarianism is headed our way. And people just don't learn. They don't learn from history. They don't take the lessons of countries that started off democratic and wound up as dictatorships. This has happened over and over again. right now, as you and I are speaking, there are 50 countries run by dictators in the world. This is not ancient history. This is not anything. This is what's really happening right now. And see, someone like Romance Kid says LOL, because that's adult. Let's see.
Yeah, another dude in there blasphemous.
MMA and America, because that's a genius username, right? Says, I'm assuming you aren't a educated man. Do you love that? I'm assuming you aren't a educated man. Oh, 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 oh. You can't make this shit up. You cannot make these dumbasses up. They're real people. Oh, Lord. Well, just, you made me laugh, but I gotta block you because you're an idiot. Thanks for sharing the live traffic, man. Appreciate it. And anytime you want to come up, if you feel like it, please do. Yeah, I'm just amazed. Like, I get that people are working really, really hard just for their daily bread. I know some people are working 2 jobs, some people are working 3 jobs, and the way America is structured makes it nearly impossible for people to ever have free time and relax and educate themselves. So I know how difficult it is for people to catch up with world events and make sense of everything that's going on. I mean, it's just a real thing, right? And so I'm not going to hold it against anybody that just doesn't have the time to be informed, but that's what podcasts are for, right? That's what audiobooks are for, so that while you're driving or while you're taking the subway, whatever it is, you can have just a few minutes of your day to try to figure something out. I still have compassion, but it's important because if more Americans realized what Dump represented in 2015, he would have never even been part of the conversation. If more people had realized what I was telling people, that, hey, this guy is making speeches that sound exactly like the speeches of that dude in Germany, then he wouldn't have been part of the conversation. But because people are unaware of world history and still argue with me to this day about it, then a guy like Dump has an opportunity. Surf Montana has a good point. With our country divided and watching totally different media, we're living in totally different, I'm guessing you ran out of characters there, but realities, right? Yes. Blasphemous Humanists, excellent. By the way, I'm an ordained clergy in spiritual humanism, so I'm a humanist too. So Blasphemous Humanist says he's a CEO. They should have realized it in 1980, whatever. Yeah. And Surf Montana says this is a new train that is not good. Train trend, I'm guessing something like that. Dangerfield said national STRIKE is the only thing that will work. Avoid work, buying and paying our government out. Yeah. Topanga, that's hilarious. You took your name from a girl from a TV show. Trump is the champ. Trump is the champ of what? Yes, Traffic Man Dump is sending 3 Wasp-class ships to Venezuela. Romance Kid, 10 years later and no dictatorship. Oh, Romance Kid, you must have just crawled out from under a rock today, huh? You must not be aware of current events. Blasphemous Humanist is coming up. And how you doing? And I'm also gonna. Who
Hang on, I
said
gotta
that
turn this
thing?
up. Sorry.
Romance Kid. I'm gonna invite you up also because I want to hear you explain your position. It's gonna be fun because I doubt you have anything interesting or intelligent to say. But I'm gonna take the chance. So Blasphemous, how you doing?
I'm all right. So the Newsom thing caught my eye because I was wondering, is he really going to be what we're going to be focusing on for the next 3 years?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Was that it?
Well, the flashiness is a good like headline grabber, but I can't bring myself to trust him. I think we need somebody who's going to actually like stand on business when it comes to what they're going to do for the people.
Okay, well then
Not
wouldn't a
just
practical
insults.
thing
Like, insults and everything for sure.
wouldn't a
Sorry.
practical thing be to look at his record in California?
I mean, yes, but that's also kind of wishy-washy because didn't he go on a podcast and talk about how he was amenable to trans rights?
Forget about diverting the conversation. I asked you a question about his record in California, right? So if you're talking about trusting him as a leader, then isn't the simplest thing to do is to look at how he's led his state? Because the governor is the president of his state, right? So what's his what has he done for California? Has it been good? Has it been bad? Because I know a lot of Californians, they seem to think he's a good leader. He's got a 52% approval rating right now. So aside from his record in California, what is there to talk about?
No, that's a good point. I don't really know the extent of his record. I know it's kind of mixed. I know some people blame him for like the homeless situation in California. Some people have blamed him about the wildfire situation, which that I 1000% don't agree with. You can't control nature. It's a BS thing. But I've heard mixed things, so I don't know for sure. Maybe I need to do more research as far as that specifically goes.
I mean, I think that's a wise decision. Just because I'm not I haven't said one word tonight about Newsom for president. I was going to talk about something else regarding him, but if people are evaluating any candidate for president, then the idea is to look at that person's record, no matter what that record is, right? Because most presidents, or actually all presidents except one, have had either military or governmental experience. All presidents in America's history, except for one, and that one, of course, is Donnie Dump. But he had a record as a human and as a business person that was atrocious in both cases. And so whatever record we have to look at of a person's past, that's what's going to indicate what they're going to do when they're put into the highest position of leadership. I mean, other than that, I can't imagine what we would go on.
All right. Yeah, no, that's a good point. I should probably look into it more. I don't know. It's still early on. I'm nervous because I know how shitty things have been over the past 10 years when it comes to looking for somebody to freaking steer this ship.
Well, the thing is that, I mean, I get that perspective. However, let's remember that America is not of, by, and for the people. And it never has been. That's always been propaganda. Because if it were, we wouldn't have the Electoral College.
Right.
Because 2.89 million more people chose Clinton in 2016. And because it's not of, by, and for the people did not get who they asked for as a leader. And I am no fan of Hillary Clinton's. However, she was 1,000 times more qualified than Donnie
Oh, yeah.
Dump. Donnie Dump is a glorified carnival barker. He had, and all these people that were like, well, let's just cross our fingers and see if he does okay. I was like, fuck that nonsense. President of America is not a learn on the job kind of gig. Okay? It's you have to be prepared. Like Barack Obama was prepared, spending, I believe, 14 years in government before he got to that position. And people were complaining about his lack of experience when he was running, and yet they fucking support this clown who didn't know anything and still doesn't. That's the sad part. 4 years squatting in the White House, and you still don't know how things work. You still don't understand how tariff works. You still don't understand how cultures across the world work. You still don't understand how the military works. It's ridiculous.
Well, and I don't understand where people. I don't understand what people saw in him, because the position of a CEO is like a million times different from the position of.
Has nothing to do with running the country. Nothing.
Nope.
I don't understand what people saw in him.
What they saw is the Achilles heel of most humans, but certainly in America, we are a country of celebrity worshipers. New Yorkers who knew Dump knew he was a piece of garbage. However, 15 years in The Apprentice made him a celebrity. And so that's what they were going on. They were going on, oh, look at this rich guy. They didn't know that he was only rich because he was ejected from a wealthy man's testicles. He wasn't rich because he was smart. He wasn't rich because he was capable. He wasn't rich because he was a good business person. He's none of those. He was a celebrity simply because he was on television. That's it. And Surf Montana, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
And I'm sorry, Blasphemous, you said what?
I said that's the same thing that got Reagan elected, and look how that turned out.
Well, similar. Reagan was a governor. Okay, so he was in politics for 15 years before he ran for president, right?
Fair enough.
So he had something going on, but yes, I think part of what got him into government to begin with was exactly what I'm saying, the celebrity thing, because he was a B-list actor, worked with a monkey, wasn't a particularly famous dude, but he was a celebrity. Like if for whatever reason, human beings, if you, I mean, Eddie Murphy talked about this in his first special, Delirious, when he said, all you got to do is sing. He was saying, if you stand on stage and you're the lead singer of a band, women are going to throw themselves at you just because you're the famous dude standing at the mic, right? And that's a microcosm of the bigger picture of celebrity. If you are a celebrity, people treat you differently. They assume that you're better somehow. I know that all that is horseshit. I've met plenty of celebrities. I worked at the Apollo one summer. I met a ton of famous acts that went through there. I dated a woman for 4.5 years who worked for Russell Simmons and then later Sean Combs. I met some of the biggest people in rap. I met some of the biggest acts, some of the biggest record label CEOs, and they're all just fucking people. I remember when I was 17, I went to Pele's soccer camp, and I was thrilled to run into Pele. I got to hug him. I got to stand next to him in the team picture because I threatened everybody else to make sure that I stood next to him in the team picture. And so as a 17-year-old, I had like a celebrity reaction to Pele, but as an adult, I've never had that reaction to any other person. I'll see someone like I was in the city and saw David Letterman talking to a couple of people. It seemed like, they were talking business. I didn't even go over. It was just, oh, Letterman, I love that guy. And I just kept walking, so it's disappointing that so many adults in America just fawn over celebrity.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right.
And
Well,
I'd
I
like
gotta
to
get to
point
bed. Sorry
out,
about you guys.
Well, thank you for coming up. I appreciate it, man. Feel free anytime.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
and Reagan was in the Navy too in World War II.
Well, there you go. So military and governmental experience. That's a great combination. At least there was a foundation I mean, he was a shitty president, but at least he had some qualification. At least there was a reason to have him in the conversation.
Yep.
So Surf Montana, any thoughts about any of this stuff? Hello?
Sorry, I have to figure out
No,
how to get my microphone
no
on.
worries. It happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here nodding with you and agreeing with you. We are on the same page. Um, I'm just flabbergasted all the time that this is the reality we live in. I don't know. It's
Yeah, I've gotten
it's
used to that feeling, but I don't like it. I don't
what
I don't want to equate the two, but there's a similarity that we can draw here. Like I saw the towers being built, so to know that they're gone is still something that I struggle with because they are vestigial structures in my mind. Because as a New Yorker, you literally use them to orientate yourself. If you were looking at the towers, you were looking south, and, it was just one of those things that they were part of the skyline. And so I have this weirdness about like accepting that they're gone. Like I'll tell the story very quickly. That morning, since my office was on 31st and 5th, like maybe 150 yards off of 5th Avenue towards 6th Avenue, and we I got to my office and it had already closed. They sent everybody home, and my best friend was there. We started talking, and there were a crowd of people standing on the corner looking downtown where the towers were. And one of them walked over to our little crowd, and I don't know why, but I think he was in shock because he just walked over, he stopped in front of me and said, "One of the towers just collapsed." And all I can say about my mindset in that moment was that I understood that what he was saying was bad, but I couldn't understand what he was saying. The words didn't compute, right? So I say all that to say, knowing Donnie Dump the way I did, when he got the nomination, it didn't compute. I was like, how? How does a clown, a failed husband, failed father, failed business person, crooked criminal, assaulter of women, how does this guy get into the conversation? It shocked me. Because I thought when he announced in 2015, I thought what had happened every other time he announced his candidacy would happen again, which he would be laughed off the ticket. That's what I just literally assumed. And if you go back and find the original reactions that the news stations had to Dump announcing, it was the same as my reaction. They were laughing, and Fox was one of them. All of the stations were laughing. Donnie Dump announced that he wants to be president. Like, come on, really? Everybody was laughing about it because it just seemed ridiculous. So how did this guy become part of our lives in this meaningful a way? It doesn't fucking compute. Bunny Thompson says same. Cynthia says we laughed. Yeah. And One Love is joining us. Loading. Hello, One Love. How you doing?
Oh my gosh, I love you so much all the time.
You're a little bit muffled, but thank you.
It's okay. No, the thing is, it's like some of this shit is like so weird that we're even talking about it. That is so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the
Because
word
this
that we're
is
looking
some,
for is surrealistic, right? It's just
right?
surreal,
Okay. Okay.
you know?
It's surreal. I'm just like, dude, what?
Yeah, Cynthia says that
Yeah.
Russia
Oh,
was responsible
yeah.
for The Apprentice. I didn't know that, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he's been a Russian asset since like the 70s or early 80s. Because, you know, little known trivia, and it's really not trivia, it's actually an important fact. His father in law, when he was married to Ivana, Danny, I'm sure you know this, he was KGB.
Oh, I mean, I have some stuff. I could like pull it up too. It's really creepy. It's like Donald Trump's grandpa, right? Like their kind of stuff, right?
You mean
It's
the
really
brothel
creepy.
owner?
Oh no, no, no. It is before. It was like when they were still called Trump and
Uh-huh.
not Trump,
Right.
right? Yeah. I'll bring it up, but
But
like,
his grandfather
dude.
did own a brothel.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You know what though? I'm not gonna lie. My grandma was here
Ow.
from Mexico, and she was in Las Vegas, and she owned a brothel. My great aunt, it was my aunt. She made a lot of fucking money in the like early, she did. And so I'm not gonna say that against my own aunt, but she was Mexican.
I'm sorry, say what
No,
against
she
her?
was Mexican. Yeah,
What?
no, she was Mexican. So
But what,
she made a lot
I
of
missed the
money.
part that you said something
Is
about
Dad
saying
breaking
something
up right
against her. What were you referring
Mm.
to?
Did you get him out?
Yeah,
Oh no, no, no.
he's been whining, been whatnot. Excuse me.
Yeah, no. Donald Trump is. Did you guys watch all the different interviews with Hunter Biden and stuff like that?
I saw
I'm just
snippets.
like,
I saw snippets of the Hunter
yeah.
interview. I liked what he was
Oh
saying.
God, I love him.
I
I love him.
appreciated, especially what he
Me
said
too.
about George Clooney. I liked all of that stuff. Hello, everybody's gone quiet.
Oh, I'll turn my mic back on, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah. I feel
Yes.
chatty and that it's lost on me.
I'm sorry. Say again.
I said I felt chatty and now it's all lost on me.
I got you. So I'll move on to the part of why I have the word Newsom over my head. Of course, it's referring to Gavin Newsom, but it has not necessarily anything to do with whether he'll run for president or not. I mean, I think he would win if he did. If it were an honest election, I think he would win. But I'm not even sure he's interested in the job because he never has been. But we'll see. But the reason that I brought him up is I love what he's doing right now, which is trolling Dump and getting MAGA hats really upset. Like his team decided that they were going to recreate some of the greatest, goofiest memes and posts that Dump has ever made. And they do it in his style and his voice. They use all caps. Instead of using Taylor Swift, they use Kid Rock. Has anyone seen these memes that I'm referring to, these posts? Yes, no,
I
maybe?
think
Yes, I
I've
have.
seen some of them,
Okay.
and like I like just like you and I was born in 1975, so I'm a Gen X, and
I'm not
some of
Gen
this
X.
shit,
I'm
like, you
64.
can't. Right. And so some, like, these kids love their computer or whatever, and you and I already know some of this stuff. We feel it, and I can't trust that. I will like it. That's fine for us, but you and I both know something is really weird about some of that stuff, right? So
I
when
have
we're
no
Gen
idea
X
what you're
in,
talking about. I don't know why you keep pulling me into this. What are your
oh,
thoughts about it?
I'm so
Forget
sorry.
about my thoughts. What are your thoughts on this? Because I don't
Oh,
know what you're talking about at all.
my thought, yeah, my thoughts are when they try to pull in like Gen X into some of the voting pool, and they really actually don't know what Gen X will do. And there's a lot of Gen X that are really very supportive of a Democratic Party. And I just think that they don't get it uh, in their, I get it in the media pool. That's what I'm talking about, media pool. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I still don't know what point you're trying to make. So what is so first of all, uh it sounds like you're suspicious of these posts. Am I understanding that correctly?
I am suspicious of Donald Trump and a relationship with Vladimir Putin.
Okay, so
And
let me try to rein
yeah,
you in
yeah,
and bring
yeah,
you into the conversation. What I
yeah,
asked
do
about
it.
was the posts that Newsom is doing right now. Have you seen those posts?
While Newsom is trolling Trump, I love
Yes.
it. But
Okay.
yeah, I love it.
Okay. Excellent. Traffic man, how you doing, buddy?
Good evening.
What's
Um,
happening?
somebody's having a great time. uh, I popped up because this is a very interesting topic. It gets me rolling, as I said down in the comments, that when they end the tweet or whatever with "Thank you for your attention to this matter." Uh,
Yeah.
the I don't understand the reason why the original person posts that to begin with. It's very weird,
Yeah.
but I don't know. That line always just gets me rolling.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's ultimately what I love about what Newsom is doing, because it has exposed the absolute hypocrisy of the MAGA hat ecosystem. Because MAGA hats are criticizing Newsom for doing and saying the exact things that Dump was doing and saying. Talking about
Hmm.
it's not serious, talking about how it's ridiculous, it's not presidential. And it's like, yeah, that's what he's trying to point out, you goofy idiot. He's
Yep.
trying to show
Yep.
you that your guy is a moron. Because all he's doing, it's genius as a campaign strategy, or even if it's not a campaign strategy, it's just genius as a social media strategy. He is recreating all of the posts that Dump did that were the most goofy, which of course there's a lot to choose from. All he's doing is recreating them almost word for word and just pulling out, just substituting different words to make different topics, but it's the same theme It's the same cadence. It's the same goofy, all caps nonsense, and then switching to lowercase. And, it's all the same. And they don't get it. They're so dumb that they don't get that he's making fun of their dear leader by doing the same thing and exposing how dumb it is.
Exactly. I mean, just the other night, what was it on Faux News over there? They were debating over the fact that this man is being childish, and
Right.
and it's like, yes, this is the point.
Right. It's a perfect troll because if you this is why Stephen Colbert's Colbert Report was the perfect troll. He wound up luring right-wingers onto his show because they didn't realize that everything he was doing was a goofy and sarcastic send-up of them.
Yep.
They didn't understand that. And they got played because, of course, he's a progressive. But this is exactly the same thing. Newsom is just pretending to speak in the voice of Dump, and now the people that support Dump are saying that Newsom is childish and he's goofy and he's unpresidential and he's this and this and this and this. And it's like, yeah, you fell for it. You swallowed the bait, hook, line, and sinker. Amazing.
I think I heard 3 different news stations saying that Gavin Newsom doing these all caps, everything that Donald Trump would do, right? All caps, whatever. There were 3 different Republican or like right-leaning spaces. They were like, oh my gosh, can you believe he did this? And if he is the governor of this state, are you god fucking kidding me? The president of our country says some really crazy shit.
Constantly. But that's why it's a perfect troll.
Right?
It's an absolutely perfect troll because the object of the troll couldn't figure it out.
I'm just waiting to see what they do with the the Bella post. Did you see that the other day?
No.
Where Trump sent out on Truth Social, the only thing he said in the message was Bella, Bela.
Bela.
That was it.
Yeah,
that was it.
That what that means is that the Xannies wore off when he was midstream, and or whatever, or kicked in, one or the other. But he's the guy's a mess. The guy, this is why all of these countries have formed alliances that were unimaginable before now, because they finally realized the emperor has no clothes. This guy's a sociopath. He's an idiot. And we're going to have to eliminate America from the paradigm. Whatever equation we have to figure out to do business and to thrive and succeed, now we know that America cannot be part of whatever we do because they figured it out. They're like, yeah, this guy's unstable. But he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know how tariffs work. He doesn't know how business works. None of it.
Wait, no, it breaks my heart because this guy literally got into office even in 2016, 17 or whatever, when he came in. He wanted to break down NATO. He never wanted all of our countries to be friends with each other. And oh, by the way, I will fall in love with every one of my neighbors, and I will help every one of my neighbors as a human, right? But Donald Trump went in trying to the first time trying to break down NATO. Oh, by the way, I think that guy is a Putin operative. I swear to fucking God, Donald Trump is a Putin operative. And I know you guys hate what I say, but like this one, I think this guy, I just think that he likes Putin more than the United States of America.
Well, that's obvious. I mean, look at how he treated one of his allies in Zelensky versus how he treats the president of our enemy. I mean, and he got punked. I said it last night, but the fact that, he had to go to Alaska to meet Putin is an example of PewDiePie punking him, because the president of America is, by all accounts, the most powerful human being on planet Earth. Whether that's deserved or not is another conversation, but that is the fact, right? And so when heads of state want to negotiate something, then they come to you. You don't stand on a fucking red carpet in the middle of nowhere clapping like a 5-year-old who's about to get candy. Like, holy shit. What a loser. Well, yeah,
Dude, no,
it's clear,
that was
and
that
by the way,
was like
he loves Putin because Putin. Here's what people don't tend to talk about regarding PewDiePie.
yeah.
He is possibly the wealthiest human being on Earth because he has taken over almost every business in Russia, and all the money funnels to him. So
Oh
he's
shit.
and Dump admires that. He admires that he's a dictator, that he's a strong man, which is, that's the way he likes to put it. Oh, he's a strong man, you know. When Dump first got into office and our intelligence agencies told him that Russia was interfering in American politics, Dump
He
had the
didn't care.
nerve to say on camera in public that he believed Putin over his own intelligence
Yeah.
committee. That's disgusting.
Yeah. No, I remember it was in Helsinki and they were both on podiums together and Donald Trump just said, no, I think that Vladimir Putin is telling me the truth. Are you goddamn fucking when has Vladimir Putin want to tell the truth to United States of America ever? By the way, this guy was like KGB. He, and now he's president, and anybody that wants to go against him to be a president in Russia, you just drink a cup of tea and you're not alive anymore. That guy is so creepy, and I actually think that Donald Trump likes that guy for those things. And Donald Trump, you know what? If it's ketchup, if it is Kentucky Fried Chicken, if it is your next Big Mac, I hope you have a cornier event and we're done, right, with you.
Yeah. So,
And
Danny,
then the rest of us,
since you
yeah,
were part of the
sorry.
military, no worries. Since you were part of the military and dedicated a big chunk of your life to serving America, what did it feel like to hear Dump turn his back on the intelligence community, all of the men and women who work so hard to protect this country and gather information to keep us safe, and have a president of America said, no, I believe the president of Russia over my intelligence community? What did that feel like to you?
I felt betrayed 100%. I I never thought I'd ever hear a president of the United States ever question and make a statement like that to a national media, not just our nation's media, but the world's media, that he believed a dictator, a ex-KGB operative, over trained people that have committed their life to public service and the protection and security of our country. And to have a man like Trump that never served a day in the military, I was appalled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I knew right then that I thought he would actually lose a lot of the military vote if he ever ran again, but I was wrong. And that even makes me more upset.
Yeah. Unfortunately, people forget, right? Time goes by and people forget all these things. And with Trump, it's hard to keep track of it all because it's just so egregious. It's just so much. So, Traffic Man, you can unmute yourself and tell me your thoughts on either this or the stuff we were talking about with Newsom, whatever it is you got. What do you think?
Well, speaking of when he made that statement back in, I believe, what was it, 2017, 2018,
Yeah.
in front of the world stage there. I don't know if you remember. I think it was like a few days later, he was reluctantly forced to take back his statements in a cabinet meeting where he had said, he meant to say wouldn't instead of would or something like that. And I mean, just watching that video of that man struggle through this apology, if you will, it was, it was not genuine at all. Like this was not something
How
where he
could
was
it
like,
be?
oh, you know what? Well, exactly. That,
Yeah.
yeah, he meant the words he said
Yeah.
there in Helsinki. I mean, yeah. So, um, as somebody who uh grew up loving modern American history, if you will, I mean, the fact that we're having any kind of positive relation with this current administration in Russia just blows my mind that it's going the direction that it's going. I mean, this is not the same. This is not people that we should be siding ourselves with here in America.
100%.
But here we are.
Yeah.
Wait. Can you
Sir.
tell us more? No. The fact of the matter is like Americans kind of like, I don't know what the F happened 12 years ago or 15 years ago, that Fox News started telling Americans that they should be really chummy with Russia. And I am a Bernie. I'm a Bernie fan. I'm like that kind of so left that you can't even understand. But then when I watch on the news that Republicans that I grew up with hated, and Reagan brought the wall down and all this other shit. What the actual fuck happened in 2016, 17? I think that Donald Trump is one of the biggest assets for Putin that ever happened in our lifetime. I'm just
Yep.
saying that.
I got you.
Yeah.
Surf Montana, you had made a statement. I just can't believe he showed everybody exactly who he is, and everybody's like, that's the man for me. Yeah. Elaborate on it. Unmute yourself and just elaborate on
Well,
that thought.
I just, no politician has ever bared themselves the way that he has. I mean, he doesn't mince words. He says what he wants to say. We know, everybody knows who he is. There's tapes of the lies. There's, you know, there's just so much. We used to cancel politicians for misspelling of a word or something like
Yelling
that,
too loud.
and one more time.
Yelling too loud.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. We're, and with him, everything's acceptable. Lies, corruption. I mean, everything has been acceptable with him. It's I one of my friends, a distant friend, said, I just want a politician who is honest. And I was like, that scares me even more because he is the part that he's honest about. He showed you who he is, and you're like, yeah, I think that's the guy for me. I mean, he's not for America. He's not Republican. He's his own thing. What bothers me the most is all the other congressmen and all the other elected officials that are just falling in lockstep. I can't believe that it's come to this, that we're here in 2025 in a second term of Trump.
Yeah. Well,
They should have never let it happen.
that's what happens when you don't learn from history, right? That's what happens when you have people that go on television that are knowledgeable, and I don't have access to a huge audience, so I can't count myself in this, but people that read history, people that understand history, people that saw how things go wrong in countries. And when I used to explain this to people, I got the same reaction that those other smart people would get too, which is that can't happen in America. And I always used to go, why? Why do you think that? Do you think America has special kind of human beings here? We're just people. We're all just people all over the world. We all do the same stuff. We all have to eat to keep ourselves alive. We all want to love people. We all want to take care of the people that we care about. Everybody's the same, right? So
Yes,
if
we're
it can
all
happen
animals, Mike.
all over the world, all throughout history, in other countries, why do you think it can't happen here? And of course, nobody ever had a good answer for that. It was all, we're a great country, American exceptionalism, blah, 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 blah. It's all propaganda bullshit.
Well, and I mean, look at Egypt, look at Rome. I mean, empires fall. And you can't just keep saying we're the best, we're the best. What was that newsroom? I forget who the actor was. But like the
Jeff
opening scene,
Daniels,
oh yes, that was so good. The opening
yeah.
scene where he was like, you know, just trashed America
Yeah.
essentially. And it's a wake up call. I mean, I'm so glad to be an American. I am not looking to move. I am. My husband's British. My kids have dual citizenship, but I'm happy here. I want to correct things, um, but surreal just doesn't say it. Sometimes I just it's almost comical sometimes, but it's real life.
Yeah, it's like a fever dream.
Yeah,
You keep expecting and hoping to wake up, and it just it doesn't go away. Because this, for me, again, I don't consider myself a particularly smart person. I know I'm intelligent, but I don't think I'm special. I've never for a second patted myself on the back for my level of intelligence. I just know how to read at a college level, I guess, and I comprehend most of what I read. And when I read world history, it becomes so obvious what is happening now.
right.
You mentioned other empires, yeah, and empires falling is not ancient history. I believe two or three of them fell in the 20th century. So
Right.
this is not old news. This is not stuff from, when we were sand dwellers in the Middle East. Like this is like contemporary stuff. And all of the biggest empires that fell, they followed a pattern, and we are replicating that pattern. And nobody has to take my word for it. Look at the history of fallen empires, because they leave clues. They have characteristics. They have common practices. They have common situations. It has to do with the economy. It has to do with the military. It has to do with engagements overseas. It's all
Media.
these different things, and we as America are doing the same shit that all of the fallen empires were doing, especially Rome. I just saw a podcast with a guy who's an expert on Rome, and he just went line by line over like a 2-hour period
Did he go back 2,500 years?
I'm going to mute you
No.
because I'm in the middle of a sentence and you're blurting in, so just calm down for a minute. This guy went line by line through all of the parallels of the Roman Empire and America. And it was startling because it's like, what does it take for people to see? I myself have been talking about this stuff since I was roughly 17 or 18 years old. So we're talking about over 40 years that I've been telling people this stuff, that I've been saying, hey, this is the reality of America. This is the history of the world. And like when Dump stepped on stage in 2015 and made his speech, I went online and I said, hey, everybody, this guy is talking like that guy from Germany in 1933. And I think that's a problem. And people were like, what the fuck are you talking about? How dare you? That was the response that I got.
Oh, no, for me, it would be, you said the exact, oh my God. Come on, bae.
Yeah, I literally searched for some of Schmittler's speeches, right? And I found one from 1927 that he gave in Nuremberg. I don't encourage anybody to read it because it's awful, but if you want to, Schmittler, 1927 Nuremberg. And all you have to do is take out one word that refers to Jewish people and put in the word immigrants, and it's the same speech. Okay?
Yeah. I have a friend from Amsterdam, and she has a VPN. So she sent me all of Donald Trump's grandpa, like all these people that left and came to America. These people are so gross. All of them are so disgusting. I want you to know, as a person from the Yaqui indigenous, I do dreams, I do everything, and I know that a Donald Trump administration does not want you or me working with our indigenous roots. So I love you. I love you, Yoda. Always.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, oh my God. I fucking love you, dude. But like, but we all also, because I'm like a Yaqui indigenous, right? So that's more Mexican or miso, right? But if you're African American, I want all of my love from those roots to be able to do what they can, because Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Oh God. Now I'm drunk. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I just got no. No. I literally, I was cool for a second, and I was like, oh no. Sorry. I
Sometimes it
love
sneaks
all
up
of
on
you.
you.
I love all of you. Oh my gosh.
Well, thank you so much for
Everybody.
being here. Hey, feel free to come back and have a great rest of your night.
I know.
All right. So, so Danny, I love the fact that you have now dedicated your lives to trying to figure out solutions, and I've seen recently that people are starting to come to the realization that a sustained effort is what's going to take it. They still haven't gotten down to where they need to be, in my opinion, which is daily. But I did see that there's a thing going on, another music festival that is talking about now a monthly blackout. Have you seen that as well?
Yes, I have, and that's encouraging
Yeah,
that they're starting to move this direction. What was even more encouraging is because I've been talking about that the only way we're going to make a change is to do it positively.
right.
Because the fact is, if we go to grabbing poo poos and go out and march in the street and do a revolution at that type, we're going to have martial law. I've talked about that and everything. But what we were missing, and we were missing this for the last 6 months, 7 months, is that we did not have a leader. And
Right.
that's where Gavin Newsom has finally somebody from the Democratic side of the House, a governor from the largest state and the fourth largest economy in the world, has taken forward and saying, okay, no, Texas, you're not going to do this just because Trump asked you to do it. So I am so proud of Newsom. Like him, love him, hate him, I don't care. At least somebody has stepped up because I didn't know who the leader was. It certainly wasn't Hakeem Jeffries, and it
Oh,
certainly wasn't that dude in the Senate that should have retired 20 years ago, Schumer.
right.
So I am glad, absolutely without any doubt, that we are moving in the right direction, and I hope the people follow Gavin Newsom's lead.
That's absolutely perfect. That's where all of this was leading to. You know, the it's clear who the leaders on the right are,
Hmm.
right? They have a succession from Dump to Vance to Johnson, and not just in terms of the governmental structure, but in terms of who's front and center, who's carrying the message, who's speaking to the people. They're organized.
They
And
keep their party
the
lockstep.
even though it's insane, the people on that side have people that they can turn to as the people that are leading their party. And what were you saying, Surf Montana?
I was just saying that's one of the problems. They fall in line lockstep as a party and just get behind one another no matter what. And on the left, everybody's thinking their own thoughts, which is great, but they have to bring some things together. They do have to find a unified message and put it out to the people.
Yeah, like I'm disgusted with Hakeem Jeffries. Absolutely disgusted with him. And it's
Mhm.
because he criticized Mamdani after Mamdani got the nomination. And I'm like, these fucking purity tests that Democrats
Right.
keep insisting we apply to the candidates is just it's so destructive. Like there's that old saying in rock, when someone's trying to tune their guitar and they can't quite get it, they say, it's close enough for rock and roll, right? So when you see someone like Newsom or someone like Mamdani who are charming, energetic, and are infusing life into the party, roll with it. Don't
Right.
start going, oh, but this thing over here isn't right and that thing over there isn't right. We've got to we've got to just get behind people that can fucking win elections.
Yeah.
You're a back traffic man.
Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Work calls, so I gotta
Why are
handle
you
it.
apologizing? I never understand
Oh,
why people apologizing for doing their life.
just being respectful, you know what I mean?
Well, you were. You let me know you were going to be back, and you came back. I appreciate that. So, yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I'm enthusiastic about what Newsom is doing, because if nothing else, he's taken the mantle of leadership, and he's leading by example and saying, "Hey, the gloves are off. Playtime is over. It's time to get down and dirty." And start swinging as much as they're swinging, because this whole bullshit with Robert's Rules of Order and, oh, the distinguished gentleman to my left and blah, 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 that ship has fucking sailed.
Yep.
It's time for street fighting.
It absolutely is. I mean, it's this idea that the Democrats feel that we have to keep some level of decorum because we're the man, fuck that. That's where I'm at with that. Like,
I
stop.
want them to be the good guys, okay?
No, absolutely
So,
same.
and you can be the good guys. It's like, if I'm minding my own business and someone attacks me and I perish them, I'm still the good guy because I was attacked, right?
Right.
That's how the Dems have to think. It's like, yeah, we want you to be the good guys. I don't want you telling lies like the Republicans. I don't want you trying to steal elections like the Republicans, right? I want you getting down and dirty and being aggressive. That's what Newsom is showing now. He's showing like, yeah, we're just going to take it to them. We're going to be as goofy as they are. We're going to be as bombastic as they are. We're going to throw it right
Hmm.
back in their face, and we're going to stand our ground. That's
Yeah.
leadership. That's why he would walk away with the presidency if he decides to run. But even if he doesn't, he's leading by example right now.
Right. Right. And there was somebody else that I was very hopeful to kind of stand up and take a positive direction with the Democratic Party, and that was Pete Buttigieg.
Oh, he's my favorite. He's
You
my
know, um, and I've been listening to a couple of the podcasts that he's been on lately, and he I hate to say this about this man, but oh my goodness, he sounds like Hakeem Jeffries in a way. He sounds like Chuck Schumer. You know what I mean? There's no motion. There's no energy. There's just this is our party. This is what we need to do. This is who we need to support. Da, 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 da. But there's no real stance that he's taking against anything. And I don't know. Maybe that's just him talking in these podcasts because these are, you know, they're not serious political debates, stuff like that. But I mean, like, if that's what you're saying here, what's your position? Like, what are you doing, dude? You know. But yeah, no, I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy to see Gavin taking the stance that he's taken right now because this is what the Democratic Party needs, whether they like it or not.
Well,
Really.
they gotta figure it out because the other side's playing dirty. I'm not even going to get into the whole, the whole thing of what happened in the last contest, but it was clearly
Right.
dirty, and so we have a lot to overcome, and it's not going to happen with people that are being polite,
well, and
Correct.
we do have to take it seriously. I think, people are like, "Oh, you're always so worked up about things," and it's not that deep. He'll be the president for 4 years. He'll move on, and I was like, "You don't know that, you
There's a
know."
lot of
Yeah.
damage that can be done in four
And
years.
first of all, look at the
I
damage
mean,
that he's
the
done in
court is
7
already.
months. All
Right,
right. I
right.
mean,
And
today is exactly 7 months that he's been in office, and he has trashed the Constitution. He's ruined the economy. He's ruined trade negotiations. He's made America a worse place. And now, no matter how much they try, all of the numbers are starting to show what we've been talking about since January. All right.
Yep.
The proof is now coming out that all of his goofy decisions are not going to work. And we are heading headlong into a recession and possible depression. Depression is not out of the question.
No,
He
it's
has
not.
set this country up to go into another depression. And it's going
well,
to
we've
take
never
a lot
seen
of effort to keep us out of it.
the wealth disparity is just so far out of whack from what it was in, say, the 70s. You know, everybody expects the typical curve, but to have, you know, these multi-billionaires have, 30 people have all the wealth in the world. It's these are scary times.
I I forget who it was. Somebody pointed this out the other day. I don't know if it was in a live or a video. I saw something. But a pound of 80/20 ground beef costs more than the federal minimum wage.
Holy shit.
There you go.
Think about it. One of the most essential foods that you can get at a grocery store is a pound of 80/20 ground beef,
Right.
and it costs more for a pound of that food than people make an hour right now in this country.
Yeah, it's
Come
nuts.
on.
It's nuts. It's completely unsustainable. You can't keep taking money from the poor and giving it to the rich and expect it all to work out somehow. It just
No,
doesn't. It doesn't work
no.
out. You mentioned 1970 a few minutes ago, and I believe I looked it up that in 1970 the average CEO made 12 times more than the janitor, and now it's something like 800 times more.
Right.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
that will change again exponentially in the next few years because money just makes money so quickly.
right.
When you're I don't think a lot of people really think about what billions, and then you start talking about trillions of dollars and it's throwing money around, but a millionaire is nothing now. These
Yeah.
these
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well,
but
I
these
mean, I wouldn't say it's nothing, but I get what you're saying.
well yeah, on well, somebody said to be in the top 1% of the global economy, you'd have to have a salary of like $45,000 a year to be in the
Right.
top 1% globally. That's insanity.
Well, yeah, that's because there's a lot of people that live on less than $2 or $3 a day in
Right.
the world
Yeah.
because as you mentioned, there's a tiny group of people worldwide that have decided that they are going to hoard all of the money and all of the resources. This is what BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street have all done. They have created themselves as the shadow government, and they're running
Yeah.
everything. And when you see guys like Peter Thiel funding all of this wild shit, all of these secret clubs that the millionaires and billionaires sit in, that, it costs $100,000 a year to be a junior member and $1 million a year to be a full member. These are the people carving up the world.
Right.
And
Yeah.
you know, there's
Oh, thank you.
there's two philosophies, right, about, bleeding someone slowly and bleeding someone dry. And obviously, if you can bleed someone slowly, you're better off because you're making money off them for a long time. And it just seems like oligarchs stopped being patient and decided we're just going to take everything from everyone right now, and whoever perishes, perishes, and we don't care.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Yeah. And for the top 1%, I mean, like, the thing that blows my mind is if you're worth $100 million, and for whatever reason, you're now only worth 900 or 99 million dollars, whatever.
Yeah.
Your life isn't going to change.
Right.
You're still going to have all the amenities that you have in your life. You're still going to have all this stuff. But if you were to take somebody who's making $35,000 a year, right, and now suddenly they're making $28,000 a year, holy moly! I mean, they're already in dire straits at that
Yeah.
point. But I mean, you take more money. Like, come on.
Yeah. By
Well,
the
and
way,
when
we
when
have
you
another
talk,
propaganda parrot in the chat. Dan says, "You mean
Oh
like
no.
Dems Soros funding?" I got to tell you,
Oh
Dan,
jeez.
I don't know what is it about you MAGA hats have about wealthy people donating to political parties, because obviously Republicans have their billionaires too. Like, Soros is not a boogeyman. You can read about his history. He's just a wealthy guy who happens to support the Democratic Party. What is the issue? Republicans have their wealthy people, Dems have their wealthy people. What is your fascination with Soros? I bet you can't explain it, because you guys
It
never
it
can.
it blows my mind because Elon Musk was extremely open over the fact that he gave the Trump campaign $287 million, for this
Yeah.
presidential election. He was very
Yeah,
open
he
about it.
he
And
bought
what?
himself entry
Yeah,
into the upper echelon of government, where he's standing
absolutely.
there tweaking out in the Oval Office, giving a speech, and then, not only does he data mine drastically and sell it off to
Oh
his
God,
buddy
yeah.
Peter Thiel, now he just got a $200 million contract for Grok AI in the government, and that was after he threatened Donnie Dump when he went public and said, Dump is in the files, right? And then suddenly
Yeah.
he got a big contract. Amazing.
Well, and I mean, if I may touch on that, we see the stability of his AI. I mean,
you
what was it? Just a couple weeks ago, it ended up becoming Mecca. Like there,
know why Grok is shit is because he's not a good programmer. He
correct.
keeps, Musk keeps fiddling with Grok, because the
Yes,
crazy thing about Grok is that when it was launched, it was actually excellent. It
yes,
was
it was
one of
very
the
good.
better AIs, right?
It really
But
was.
and
Yes,
that's what they hated about it, because when people would ask about like Republican stuff versus like someone, I think the straw that broke the camel's back was something like someone asked Grok, what's better for America, Democratic ideals and administrations or Republican ideals and administration? And Grok accurately answered Democrats, right? And they were like, "Oh, wait,
yes.
we can't have this."
We can't have that. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and
but I
and then
mean,
all of a sudden, when he went back in and changed some things, I mean, the night and day difference was obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that.
we can roll tape of Trump himself saying, "I don't know why, but it seems like our economy always does better under the Democrats." I mean, that roll tape.
Yes.
Yeah.
When was the last time we had a balanced budget? you know.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like there are plenty of things that are debatable. And I love debate. I'll debate about anything except one thing, which is fucking facts. I'm not
Right.
debating facts with people. The fact is, last 30 years, 96% of jobs were created by Democratic administrations. The fact is, if you look over roughly the last 75 years, every time there's a Republican administration, the economy tanks, then Democrats come in to fix it. Why is it still even a conversation about choosing between Democrats and Republicans? Republicans have been awful for America, plain and simple. Okay? And these are facts that I refuse to debate with people.
Well, and it all got twisted as well, I think, when there's fiscal conservatives and then the religious right. When they decided to take up different topics, that changed the direction of our country. I mean,
Ooh.
my dad was a bleeding heart Democrat, but he was also a diehard, a devout Catholic. Pro-life, had to check in with the priest to make sure that it was, okay to vote on the Democratic ticket for Clinton, because he was pro-life. But he realized that overall, the Democrats helped humanity more,
The
And he was
right
pro-life
has
all over.
never been anything that it purports to be. They have never been fiscally responsible, and they have never been religious.
Fair. Yeah. This is
It's
true.
all propaganda. This is the thing that amazes me about propaganda. I mean, I've been studying this shit for decades, and propaganda on paper is the dumbest sounding thing. Because on paper, it's, I'm going to lie to you until you believe me. That's what propaganda is. But the fact that it works is astounding, because it works almost all the time. Donnie Dump was clocked at over 30,000 lies during his first administration. Did people respond by going, that is the most untrustworthy human being on planet Earth? Or did they go, maybe he's got a point, right? This is how dumb humans are. Is like, you can point to all of the lies. You can debunk everything the guy said. You've seen me do it with MAGA hats on here constantly. They're just immune to facts. They're allergic to facts, right? But you can debunk everything they say, but because propaganda works, they keep falling for it over and over and over.
I mean, it's to the point where, and I think I've brought this up before. Last year during the campaign, we had a union meeting, and our governing body of our union was like, we're going to get, as a governing body, we voted, we're going to support Donald Trump. And I raised my hand in that union meeting, and I was like, you're talking anti-union Donald Trump? We're gonna support that? And they're like, oh,
Wow.
no, he's for the working man. And I'm like, do you guys know anything about that man's history and
Right,
unions?
Like
right,
right to work.
right.
Did like any of it?
Whenever I've heard
And they're
someone
like,
say he's for the
oh
working
no,
man, I'm just gobsmacked. Like, what are you
Lord,
talking about? There is nothing,
yeah,
not only is there nothing in his history to support that idea, everything in his history supports the exact opposite.
Absolutely
exactly.
not paying the vendors, ripping everybody off through his university. Yeah, he's a scoundrel. I mean, he is. And again, I just don't understand that it's not, nothing's hidden. When you talk, going back, you were talking about Nixon. People tried to do things on the quiet. I mean, he just lives his best life, says whatever he wants to say, does whatever he wants to do, and half of the country laps it up. I don't know. I'm disgusted with the Republican Party for letting this happen. I just there used to be some decorum and kind of minds meet in the middle, and somewhere around like Newt Gingrich, it got out of control. He was a loudmouth, and now the way that Trump talks to women, talks about women, talks to women, we wouldn't put up with that in any other. If a McDonald's worker were to speak to us that way, if a teacher were to speak to us that way, we wouldn't take that from anybody. Why would we accept that from our president?
Well, it's the same reason that Catholics still go to church and put $1 in the basket every Sunday. Like you know what's going on. You know what that money is going to protect, and yet you still support it because they brainwashed you at an early age, and you're just going to stay with the cult. Because if there ever was the most obvious cult in my lifetime, it's MAGA hats. And I've been saying this for a long time, but they finally confirmed it officially when 47% of his voters said, even if he were to be exposed and convicted as a PDF file, they'd still support him. 36 million people out of the 77 million that voted for him were willing to admit publicly that they would support a man like that. That's a cult. That's a cult. 100%.
He knew back in 2015 during his campaign, his first campaign, when he stood there next to Hillary Clinton and he said, "If I walked out onto Fifth Avenue and I pew-pewed someone, I would I would not lose a single vote." And he was 100% correct.
Yeah, shocking. That's the thing that, I thought he was being bombastic, but it turned out that he was 100% correct.
Absolutely, with the way this administration's currently going, I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's not really funny at all, though, right? Like what we're seeing is a guy who is living out his tyrannical fantasy, and he's doing so almost completely unabated. We have a few victories here and there in court, but the steamroller is rolling down the street, and it's it's moving faster than we ever thought possible. That's the part that really freaks me out, is the speed at which this takeover has happened. Like, we all knew, or at least most of us knew, that he was going to try this. We were warning people last year about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was going to really take an effort. I thought there was going to be resistance. But then also last year in July, the Supreme Court set the stage for it by giving presidents the power of kings. And I know people try to minimize it and all that stuff, but I'm sorry. Saying that a president is immune for almost anything he does, that's not good. That's not how America is supposed to run, And Dump, of course, was going to abuse that. And then what happens? This year, the Supreme Court votes 9-0 against him, and what does he do? Fuck you. And then they're all shocked, and I'm like, you fucking did this. You set the stage for a tyrant to be tyrannical.
At least the judges, I think the Congress feel that he's going to pull the strings and make sure that they get primary, that they're not going to get elected again. The judges are safe. There's nothing he can do to them,
Yeah, but there's nothing they can do to him. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The judges are supposed to be able to rein in the president. Right? That's what they're there for. And they decided to emasculate themselves, and then he decided to accommodate them and say, "Oh, well, you gave me all this power." And this is what I said last year. These are the exact words I said. This was before the vote, right? I said, I assume that Supreme Court justices are going to be smart enough to avoid voting themselves out of a job. Because if you create the power of a king, you know what a king doesn't need? A fucking Supreme Court. And that's what Dump demonstrated this year. He doesn't have to listen to them because they made it possible. So then they tried to claw it back with the 9-0 vote, and he was like, nah, I don't give a fuck.
Yep. Well, and I mean, just the other day, what was that, Monday, with Zelensky in the office, and he looks at Zelensky and was like, "You mean to tell me that, like, if I was to go into some kind of a conflict and stuff, that
I could suspend the elections,
the man, right, like the man is just the man is just saying things of what he wants to do."
And this is my opinion on why that is, and this is based on like Psych 101 stuff, right? Because he has such an infantile mentality, it's just like, if you ask a 5-year-old to keep a secret, they have a hard time with it. They get very excited, right? They get very
Yes.
hyper because they're like, oh, I want to tell, right? And that's exactly how he is. He knows.
Exactly.
He absolutely knows. And again, 100% my opinion. I'm just fantasizing and talking out loud right now. He knows that he plans to start martial law. He knows that. He
Yeah.
knows that he wants to do that. That's why when he saw this opening, he got that glint in his eye. Just the same glint that he had last November when he said, we have a secret, don't we?
Yep.
Fucking idiot. Anyway, we have a new guest. Because I said so. Hello, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm phenomenal. Welcome to Yoddah
Awesome.
Live. What's on your mind?
Thank you. Nothing. I just actually, I follow Traffic Man. We're
All
friends
right.
on TikTok, and so I jumped up here and was listening for just a few minutes, and then I was looking at your prompt, which says Newsom. So I have some opinions on that. So I just wanted to jump in when ready.
Fantastic. Hello, Jessica. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Yoda?
I'm excellent. So, because I said so, what's on your mind regarding Newsom?
So, and by the way, I haven't been watching the live, so I don't know which direction you guys have gone into thus far.
No worries.
But I'm a huge fan of what he's doing. I love every second of it. I'm not a huge fan of him becoming the president of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in California. I lived there only for a couple of years, so I'm not gonna, pretend like I had this like big experience. But I know what kind of governor he's been. I've seen his stances on things. Two of the things that I think are the most offensive is his assault on the homeless population, which we're watching Trump do right now in D.C. or attempt to do right now in D.C., which kind of doesn't give me much of a degree of separation between the two mentalities. But I also don't really love the fact that he's like big corporation. Again, I understand that you have to have your donors, but I think he just kind of falls in line. He's just like a younger version of Biden in a way. He's got a huge push for Israel. So I've got a lot of issues with him in his governing of the state, but I don't hate him because I think what he's doing for the country is really, really great, and I hope he has a really good career. I just don't think it should land in the presidential position.
Fair.
Agree with
Okay.
that.
And Jessica, what's on your mind?
Oh, I was just I was listening to you talk about how, Trump and saying basically saying the quiet part out loud here lately. And it reminded me of, I don't know if you guys have seen the recent footage of 21st Century Goebbels, Stephen Miller, where he was addressing members of the National Guard there in DC and you could hear the protesters in the background.
Yeah, down at Union Station.
Yes. And the rhetoric that he's saying is very, very similar to other rhetorics throughout history, right? And it's just, it's concerning to me that people aren't really paying enough attention to the things that they're saying and the significance behind it. And they are saying the quiet parts out loud.
Yeah, the sad part is that people never have paid attention. I read some newspaper articles from the height of World War II in Germany and around Germany because I wanted to know, like, what was the world saying, what was Germans saying, and it's exactly like now. It's part of the population is like, I don't see the big deal.
Yeah.
He what? He copied Charlie Chaplin's mustache, so what? And some people were writing articles about his 20-hour day work ethic and blah, blah, blah. some people are like, hey, folks, this fucking guy's out of his mind and he's here to do some harm. So it's literally what we're seeing right now. You know, if we're looking for the American population to snap out of it, chances are we're going to be disappointed.
I actually,
Hmm.
I think that the difference between him and the German leader is that the German leader did have a clear vision of what he wanted for his people and his country. Gross as it was, he did have a vision. Trump, he just kind of wings it and he's all about himself. He really doesn't, I really do not think that he cares about the American people. I don't even know if he cares about his family. I really think he is more self-serving than even the German could have been.
That's fair. I would have to say that I think to support your assertion, Dump is a sociopath. I
Yeah.
don't think he experiences human emotions in a healthy way at all or in a functioning way. As far as the difference in their plans, I appreciate the nuance of that, but in my opinion, these are distinctions that don't make a real difference because the damage is going to be the same.
Yes.
You know, that's my problem is that since we're headed in the same direction, even if we don't get the same exact outcome, there's going to be so much damage that like it might be irreparable. It really might be.
And I'll tell you what, I really feel that you know what would be comparable to the I'll just say the Minecraft book that was written. I want to. I feel that Project 2025 is
Absolutely.
this administration's Minecraft book. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's laying out the ground rules. You know.
yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you ever get the chance to read any transcripts of
Very
any
good care of my coat. I am.
Go
uh,
ahead, son.
if if you ever get the chance to read any transcripts of really any speech ever given by Goebbels, but especially like Reichstag speech or anything like that, and compare
Mhm.
it to speeches done by Stephen Miller,
Hmm.
it's damn near indecipherable as to which came from which. If you were to have the English transcripts of each of them without saying who gave what speech, it would probably trip a lot of people up.
Oh, a polling company did that a few years back. I think it might have been around 2023, perhaps.
Yeah, I saw
Some
that. I
company
know what
did
you're
an
referencing.
online poll. I think it was over in Europe where they basically asked, you know, who said this, right? And
Hmm.
Poisoning the
they
blood and
couldn't
all of
tell the
that.
difference between Dump and the Austrian. So we
Yeah.
have another guest, Raven something or other. Please unmute yourself. Say hello. Might not know she was up. Try again. I'll invite to unmute. See if that works. It's Raven Theater Maven. Going once. Going twice.
Oh, I'm
Hello?
so sorry. I didn't know you were there. I'm sorry. I had to look at my daughter, and that was why I totally lost it. I'm sorry.
It's quite all right.
I normally am paying attention. I just
did
went
you
off
mean
for a
to come
minute.
up?
Yes, I did.
Excellent. So what's on your mind?
Well, you were talking about Hair Orange and Company and about whatchamacallit. Surf Montana brought up oh, come on. I've got him in my, I can picture him. You're right. He looks like a gerbil. He looks like Gab, or reminds you of Goebbels.
Oh, Stephen Miller?
Stephen Miller.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Stephen Miller, my poor brain.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he just looks like a
speaking
reptile to
today,
me, but I got you.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, he reminds me of a rodent. He has a very rodent-like presence in many ways. But no, the thing is that, and people were talking about Trump not really having a direction. Trump is simply a tool. He is a useful idiot.
Yeah, agreed.
And the people, and obviously, I don't need to tell anybody here that he is just ticking off Project 2025 for those people that paid into his campaign to get him there. The exchange was basically he's there for a free get out of jail card, as much money as he can generate in the time he can stay in office, and a pardon when he gets out. And that's it. And he's a placeholder for the YT Chrissy Nats that are on their way. Those are the people, and Steve Miller is one of their architects, along with
Peter Thiel.
oh God, come on. No, I actually no. In the White House,
Yeah,
oh,
I know who you're talking about.
Russell Vought. Thank
Right.
you. Takes me
Yeah.
a minute, but I get there.
Yeah, Vaught and
Russell
Thiel
Vaught.
are basically similar. And, I know Thiel has set up a lot of the funding for like a lot of the clubs that they're in. I know Thiel has paid for almost everything J.D. Vance has done politically. So he's a big player in that game too. And yes, I agree. Everything you said was spot on. Dump is the puppet. He's just not smart enough to know that he's the puppet. That it's like any other patsy. The patsy is the last one to know that they're the patsy. And very
Precisely.
wealthy, very powerful people are the ones pulling the strings. They're the ones writing the legislation. They're writing the executive orders. They are putting all of this in Dump's head because there is no chance in hell that Dump is smart enough to conceive of any of what's going on right now.
Well, I think too that a lot of it has to. It's not necessarily about intelligence. It has a lot to do with personality disorder, and it seems to me to be very indicative of a narcissistic personality, and really he doesn't care about anything other than what's going to make his vanity, more effective.
Yeah, he's a
To be
black
honest
hole
with
of attention. That's why he's always desperate to be like, love me, give me prizes, tell me I'm a good boy. He's completely damaged. And by the way, when I read the DSM-5, all of the 9 characteristics that make up narcissistic personality disorder, and as a note, you only need 5 of them to be considered a narcissist. He literally ticks all 9.
He does. He really does. And he's at the end of life. I mean, he's 70. What is he? 79? Is he?
Mhm.
He hasn't turned 80 yet. He's 79 years
Right.
old. He's already talking about end of life. He kind of gave it away when he recently spoke about I want to do this so I can go to heaven if I can. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, which is acknowledgement.
That was an insane conversation. Sorry, I did.
No,
Yeah.
that's true. It's true.
I mean, really, but did you guys see, just real quick to just throw this in there, did you guys see the Fox News, what's his name? Jesse Waters. Did you guys see that? Where
Oh my
he
God, that wannabe Ken doll.
I know, but did you see him? I saw a clip of this today where he said Trump did. I'm paraphrasing. Okay, go back and look at it. I think your jaw will drop even further than what I'm about to say when you hear it. But he said Trump did bad things. He's done worse things than we probably know. And he's basically trying to redeem himself. So there was an acknowledgement from Fox News that it's bad, right? And also there's like an argument that they're prepping us to see bad things coming out of the report when it does release. But yeah, he's in a bad position, and his medical assessment doesn't look great. So he knows what's coming.
I can't believe
know?
that Jesse Waters said anything negative about Trump. If he did so, it was either accidentally or he was ordered to, because
It wasn't in a
that
negative
guy
light, Yoda.
spends more time gargling Dump's nuts than anybody on television.
Yeah.
Or he
Have you
was
seen?
caught, or he was caught on mic or something, or wrote something.
No,
Yep.
no, it wasn't like that, guys. What he was
Yeah.
actually doing was stroking Trump to say Trump is such a sweet guy that he's real. It's almost like he's really coming
that's
to
on brand.
Jesus
That's
right
on
now.
brand. No, Jesse Waters is the biggest simp for Dump. on
Yeah.
television
Yeah.
right now. Every time, I never watch Fox, but I watch podcasts that clip Fox. Every time they put that smug, hyper masculine sycophant Jesse Waters up for a clip, it is the most nauseating part of my day.
Yep.
He is so disgusting in his fawning love for Dump, and I don't know if it's an act. If it is, kudos to him. But it's still disgusting either way.
I love the fact that there are clips out there where Jesse Waters' own mother has called into the show live
Yeah,
on air and has been like, "This is not you.
yeah.
Stop this."
Shut the fuck up, Jesse.
I didn't
Basically.
know
Yeah,
that. That's
yeah,
hysterical.
I didn't know that.
Oh
That's
yeah,
neat.
yeah.
yes.
His
It's so
his mother
hilarious.
his mother called live to castigate him, and what? Look. Jesse Waters is one of two things possibly, and again, this is just my imagination running away with me. He's either playing a role to the T, just for the bag, just so he could get paid, right? Or he's the real thing. Either way, it's disgusting.
If he's not, that man deserves an Oscar.
Either way,
I would bet the
they're the same
former.
It could be.
I'm with you,
Unfortunately, it
Yoda.
doesn't matter
I would
because
say the former.
his rhetoric is out there. His support of Dump is destructive. If the media were doing its job, and of course, Dump is intimidating to make sure that they don't, but if we had real media in America, likely Dump would have never been part of the conversation starting in 2015. Because a media that would have been functional would have said over and over again, hey, folks, this guy is basically a glorified carnival barker. Don't listen to a word he says. Don't let him into the party. Don't let him near levers of power. Get him the fuck out of here. That's what a responsible media would have said. But that train left a long time ago.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
Well, the part of it was originally, I think, was that the mainstream media was trying to be equanimable. They were trying to be not insulting as much as they could. It was they didn't want to call the spade because they didn't want to turn off any of their possible right-wing viewers, etc. So they tried to normalize, make it, well, he's a little eccentric, and yes, he's done some things in his past, and now, and I mean, he has spent years conning the Christian right to believe that he has somehow reformed. And I think what you're seeing now is more of that in preparation for the eventual exposure of the e-files. And the fact of the matter is that this man has such, I mean, there's so much evidence. The evidence is overwhelming. And the denial of how people sit there and deny this stuff and just keep trying to project it back is absolutely stunning. I did want to comment on one other thing, and that was on Newsom. And I thought it was interesting. I listened to because in what she had to say is the exact reason that I'm hoping that we find another candidate, because I feel like Newsom is too much. I like him personally. I live in California. I do not agree with everything he has done. There are things that I think he should have handled much differently. But I would rather, obviously, I'd rather see him than Trump. But I am afraid that Newsom is too much of a known commodity. And I'm afraid that that is going to bring him down. And we're going to go through sort of what we went through with Harris, with losing voters that won't bend, that won't accept the foibles.
Well,
I hate to say it.
then Democrats get what they deserve if they keep that fucking attitude up. These endless purity tests are exhausting and non-productive.
Yep.
True.
I think
I agree. I just don't know
purity
what we
test-
do.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead.
No, you got it.
As far as the purity test goes, I'm with you, Yoda. I'm tired of them too, because that's why we are where we are. I think the arguments against Kamala were very valid. The feelings that were there were
I
valid.
don't.
However,
I don't.
well, okay,
I
so you
thought I
had
thought
so
they
you
were
had
goofy.
well, okay, so you have people who are actually genuinely concerned about what's happening specifically in the Middle East, and I think those were valid arguments. I don't believe they were a good enough position to place Trump into office. So those who sat out, or those who flipped to Trump or went third party out of a protest vote, um, thank you for fucking us over,
I
okay?
mean, the way
Because
I
I am
look at
one of
it
those
is this:
people.
you have a candidate. You had a choice between two candidates, right? One
Right.
was possibly in the top three most qualified candidates in American history to be president of America, and the other was a pile of dog shit. And people were having, oh, but she's not perfect in every way. This is why Dems fucking
I'm not
lose.
arguing that, Yoda. I'm not
Oh,
arguing that, Yoda. I'm
I
not
That's what
mean,
saying that she was
worries me with what we're going to
unqualified. I'm
do
not
I
here.
saying
get
that
I
at
get
okay.
all.
what you were saying. I'm just talking about the big picture of it. Is that this
Right.
is what it came down to for me,
Okay.
in my observing this. It's like it was a joke to me to even have this man be compared to her on any level. He is
Mm-hmm.
garbage. That's why I call him dump, because he
What?
is pure
No.
garbage.
I agree with you 100%. So I am one of those voters who my biggest problem with Biden was what was going on in the Middle East. However, I still was going to vote for him if he was up on the ticket, and I still voted for Kamala Harris because
Right,
I have the reasoning skills to look and also have a memory because we
right.
remember Trump 1.0, right? So I was able to say, okay, we cannot have a repeat. And by the way, lessons learned. I'm sure he learned a lot, which we've seen now because he's now really surrounded himself by the sickest of the sick, right? So, but I guess my point is that we, um, I hear Raven's concern because although I believe what Trump has done is going to really ignite the left, whether you're far left, middle, whatever, to come out just to vote for a tuna sandwich over Donald Trump, there's still going to be some folks that may be so disconnected from the reality of the United States that they will still cause us harm by going by pushing the right in a way, whether they go third party or whatever they do. So I'm really worried about Gavin because I think that he continues the pattern of the type of candidate that Kamala it was and that Biden was, that we could still turn off a certain portion of the electorate. Now, we may still have the Biden effect of what he had in 2020, and we might be okay. But it's still kind of scary. You know what I mean?
I just wish for the thing that I'm probably not going to get is that Americans have to take their fucking heads out of their fucking asses and start to evaluate things in the smart way. Like I get, like, look, I can't stand Joe Biden. Okay? His history as a politician makes me sick. I think that this guy brought about one of the worst pieces of legislation in American history, which was letting MBNA, yeah, the credit card company, write legislation for him that made it impossible for people to declare bankruptcy for credit card debt. That was Joe Biden who did that. That was horrifying. Okay, that hurt a lot of people. People lost their homes because of that fucking legislation. However, when I look at his record as president, it was excellent. Does that mean I agree with everything? No. But I look at the balance of it, and he did a phenomenal job on all of the things that we judge administrations for. So all these people that are waiting for the perfect candidate to come down, even Barack Obama, I hated his drone program. And I still think he's one of the greatest presidents America ever had. So we got to stop only demanding perfection. We've got to get away from that. That is what's hurting the progressive side, is that we are constantly putting we can't do good enough. It has to be perfect. Well, Gavin Newsom right now is good enough for me. If someone else comes along that's better, that's fine. But right now, he has it if he wants it. And all of the criticism that could be levied against him is probably valid and makes sense. I don't give a fuck. We need someone that is going to save America.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you. Listen. You and I actually aren't on a point of disagreement. If Gavin Newsom is on the ticket, I'm voting for Gavin Newsom. That's not the point of disagreement. What I'm saying is, my concern is that we might not have the pull that we would have if we had a slightly more progressive candidate than Gavin because of his track record in California, specifically when it comes to the homeless population, as well as how many corporate donors he has backing him. It's just it's unattractive. But if you can't pull the left over enough because of that disdain for that, we might be in trouble again. And that's where my concern falls. You know
I
what I
got
mean?
you. So, Traffic Man, you have some photo up. I can't see it.
Yes, it's just breaking here. The president of the United States has tweeted out about that Newsom is way down in the polls. He's a man is destroying the once great state of California. I will save California. Blah blah blah.
Well, I'm
And all
relieved.
that.
Thank goodness Donnie Dump is on the job.
And yeah, and Gavin Newsom has actually retweeted that, saying, like, oh, this is awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, I really feel that Gavin's uh direction here with all this is a multi-edged blade kind of thing. Like, he's trying to get somewhere where he can get his name out there, get some sort of stance for running for president. I mean, it's obvious. However, at the same time, I think the people that he surrounds himself understand that the president has such a fragile ego that if you keep poking at him, at
Yeah.
some point he's going to break.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're trying to get at.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's like I said in Danny's live the other night. My opinion of Gavin Newsom right now is, do I agree with everything that he does? No, I've never taken that stance with any candidate. However, at this moment in time, this man has the motion, he has the direction, he has everything going for him. He is a means to an end when it comes to the current administration.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. There is no other Democrat right now that is taking the stance to do anything to just make this administration fall apart, and or to give us any kind of motion in the midterms or even the next presidential election. And so I'm not 100% satisfied with the man, but if he can rally the Democratic Party back to something, he has my support.
Yeah. I'm with you. All right. I'm going to start shutting it down. So I'm going to just start dropping people down. Thank you, everybody,
Good night.
for
Thank
coming
you.
up and sharing.
Good night.
It's been fantastic. Traffic Man, thank you as always.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
I'm gonna give Danny the last word to wrap things up, but thank you, Surf Montana, for all of your contributions. And Danny, last man standing as always, man. This got energetic. I like the way this live turned out. What are your final thoughts, sir?
Well, I wanted to interject when those two girls were talking about Newsom, and also about Harris. We all voted for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for president last time
Right.
on 2020. So everybody knew that if something would ever happen to Joe, Kamala was going to be the president of the United States. And, to start second guessing what she is qualified or what she can do or any of this other stuff is fucking bullshit. She was the next person to be the president of the United States if something were to happen. The same thing uh, back when Joe Biden was vice president to Barack Obama. We all knew That's how that's how the thing works. Al Gore and all that, all the vice presidents that has held office always were the next person to take the presidency. But I say that everybody that would have everybody, if they'd have voted for Hillary in the first goddamn place, we wouldn't be in the mess we are in today.
All right, but think about this, though. People did vote for Hillary. She got
Oh, I
2.89
know they
million more
did.
votes.
I know. But the Electoral College, being the antiquated piece of garbage it's always been, uh, kept her out. Even though I do think that in some of those swing states, and you know how much I hate swing states, you know, and I think that's just a corporate greed for those states to make money over the rest of the states. Um, that that has been a problem forever. But we all know that the Bernie bros sat on their hands and didn't vote for Hillary because he didn't give him the nomination. So pretty much those people is the ones that gave us Donnie Dump in the most part, especially in the swing states. So they can sit there and they're going to have to lump it because they are the part of the problem. So, but when it comes down to Gavin Newsom, he is the only Democrat. Because we had nobody for the last 7 months speaking out, period. And the man finally stood up and says, enough is enough. If Texas does this redistricting stuff, California is going to do it the same. And we're going to do it better and we're going to do it right. We're going to do it. The people are going to have a say in what we do. So I think Newsom is leading the charge. It's peaceful, it's positive, it's direct. And if we don't get behind this man, then you might as well kiss the United States of America goodbye. And that's what I got to say.
I agree 100%. Folks, whoever's not following Danny, please do so. He goes live Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And then the first and third Sunday of the month for Vet Talk. But Mondays and Wednesdays, it's current events and only the positive solution that we want to talk about regarding current events. And then Friday is the best, which is Trivial Pursuit. So click on his profile picture, follow him, and join us Friday for the most fun that you will have on any social media platform, guaranteed. That's how enthusiastic and confident I am about recommending the Friday Trivial Pursuit game. It is enormous fun. So, Danny, as always, thank you for coming up, brother, and I'll see you very shortly.
Yes, thanks a lot, Jordan. Have a good evening.
All right. All right, folks, we're going to wrap it up. I think we've said everything that we need to say about this evening. Thank you to my panel. You made the whole thing. I had my thoughts about this, but all the directions that the panel took it, absolutely fantastic. It's the reason why these lives are any good at all. It's because of you folks. And thank you for the folks that made all the comments in the comment section, that tapped, that shared, that gave gifts, all of that good stuff. Without you, I'm up here talking to myself, which I'll do, but it's way more fun when I'm talking to you. So, once again, Yoddah Live, Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. Hopefully, we'll see you tomorrow night. Until then, peace, love, and granola. Talk to you soon.